Okay, guys and gals, about 10 seconds of the obligatory disclaimer. If you want to read the whole thing, just pause the video. Okay, everybody, let's take a look at the cattle futures from last Friday, and we'll take a look at where I think this is headed. So this will be the feeder and live cattle. We'll start with the feeder cattle here, /GF. These are the January 2022 contracts. Friday ended at 160.35. You can see here on the daily chart that, I said that prices would continue to decline and would they get down to the 50? Well, they sure did. They actually got below the 50, which is at 160.39. So it got as low as 160.05. Temporarily we might see a bounce, but I think it's going to be short-lived considering what I'm seeing here on the MACD, guys. So guys and gals, I think cattle futures is in for more decline overall. Even if we do get this bounce, like maybe we get this going on, I don't think it's gonna survive and continue to go up. I think we're going to continue to see prices go down. That could be right away, or I should say it might be right away like this. It might get a bounce and then come below. So either way, though, I think cattle futures is in for more decline, is what it looks like to me. Now there is one thing that could change that, and that is that this cycle low, and so for those who don't know cycle analysis, that's this big green arc right here, okay? Also might be known as a cycle bracket, okay? But basically it's this big green arc. I use green. Some other cycle analysts use different colors. That's fine. It doesn't really matter what color you use. You can ignore the yellow ones. Those are hourly cycles, so we'll ignore those for now. So that's the green cycles. And where two cycles come together, generally we would see price decline. And sometimes they're not exactly right on time. So focusing on the green arcs, you can see here, prices came down and then went up as they came out of the cycle, right? Or going into the next cycle. Here you can see it was kind of an early, some would say that this cycle ended early, but in reality, guys, this was the cycle low right here, a little bit late by a couple days. That's okay, it happens. It's perfectly acceptable. See, this cycle low was right, oh, sorry, forget that, wrong. This cycle low, sorry. Looks like it's coming right down into, so let me clear the screen. We had 3 cycles, daily cycles we're looking at. This one was definitely a low here, right? This one, staying with the green ones, was a low here. Sorry about the line being a little weird. Okay, you can see prices came down into both those times, right? You see prices come down into this cycle low right here, which is December 19th. So in about 2 days would be the cycle low. So we could get a bounce. You could get a bounce coming up out of this cycle, okay? Which means, you might get something like this going on and then it bounces up, okay? That's very possible. And it would be very common to see that. But long run, like kind of longer term, the MACD looks like it's pointing down. So even if we do get this bounce, if it comes below the 50 and then gets back above it, I still think overall prices are going to go down for a little while just based on what I'm seeing here, okay? That looks kind of weak to me. So short term might be a bounce, but longer term as we go out into a week or 2 or a few days, I think prices will continue to decline. All right. So we're getting near a daily cycle, so we'll see, like I said, if we get that bounce. Let's look at the monthly. So far, candlestick-wise, it's a weak month. Not very strong. Still pointing down. Okay. So not too much has changed here. The month looks definitely on the weak side. Let's look at the weekly chart here. The last 3 weeks have been giving up a lot of price. I mean, even this candlestick green one here was kind of small. So the weekly chart looks like it wants to really give up a lot of ground here. So that we could see, and the daily chart's kind of shown that on the MACD. So I would think cattle prices will continue to decline based on just what I'm seeing here. They could get all the way down into this area, which is the mid 150, guys. I would not be surprised to see cattle futures eventually get down into the mid 150s or maybe even lower, but I think the 150s is, and even mid 150s is very probable as we move forward. May not happen all at once, but I think it's going to happen over a period of a few weeks or a month or whatever, okay? Okay, let's finish up the feeder cattle looking at the hourly. So I think I said on Thursday that I saw continued weakness in the hourly chart. Sure enough, look at Friday's session. So look here, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4 sessions of weakness. This is a pretty significant breakdown in the feeder cattle prices, future prices. Okay. Looks like it may be trying to do a rebound here, but I wouldn't count on that being a very strong rebound just yet. We'll see how things come out of that daily low. Okay, to see if that changes. Now I just want to focus for a second on these yellow arcs. Okay, which would be hourly cycles. Let me just kind of eyeball this here while we're doing this video. This looks pretty good here, and that looks pretty solid there. This is a little bit off. Like I could see there was a price stall right in here. So that happens. It's not uncommon to see that happen. This is pretty good right here. The cycle low is here, just off by maybe like a couple hours. Okay. So, excuse me, the next hourly cycle low is really supposed to be, it's kind of hard to tell because these 6-hour sessions with cattle is really hard to get a feel for when the cycles are going to change. I mean, when the hourly cycles. So I just have to try to count these cycles for each arc, or count the number of sessions for each arc or each cycle. So let me just count these up real quick. 1, 2, 3. Kind of hard to see here on the video, but there's a session that runs from here to here, and then one that runs from here to here. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It's just about 4 sessions per hourly cycle. So if that's the case, let's see, Thursday, Friday, Monday, Tuesday, close of Tuesday, guys. So Tuesday at the close of the session for the cattle futures would be an expected low, somewhere right around there, just to give you an idea kind of what to expect. Not saying I know exactly where pricing is going to be between now and then, but Tuesday's close, I could see prices declining down into that, okay? So just keep that in mind. Let's look at the live cattle and see what's going on there. Go to the daily. Yeah, live cattle looks weak too. This looks really weak here. Like there's more price decline is what I'm seeing here for on the daily for live cattle. There's more to come. And I could see it getting down to 135 maybe. Maybe. As prices approach to 150, a lot of times acts as support, but so we'll have to see what's happening here. These indicators look like they're just kind of flatlining down here, and they don't look very resilient. Okay, not yet. So these daily cycles in the live cattle are huge. They're not like the feeder cattle. They're really large. It's kind of hard to pick out smaller cycles here on the live cattle. Their cycles are much larger. So February 22nd, I think I mentioned that before, would be the next cycle low. This cycle low here already finished. December 12th. Kind of came right down into it right in this area here. So pretty decent cycle. You would expect prices to go up, but they're not. It's okay if this cycle runs a little long, which it may be doing that. Especially considering a lot of the futures products are ending more around Christmas. So we could see cattle futures maybe follow that trend with the rest of the products like crude oil and a lot of others. They don't normally. Cattle doesn't really follow the other futures products, but it's possible that that's what's happening. Okay. But just looking at this, I see a continued price erosion for now. We'll see if we get a bounce going up into this cycle, but it hasn't happened yet. Okay, let's look at the monthly. You know, long-term live cattle, still look strong long-term. Some indication of price decline even in the monthly kind of creeping in here, especially with that dot there as a divergence warning, which would normally be followed by price decline. So we'll keep an eye on that as the month ends and see if it's still there at the end of the month. Let's look at the weekly. Now that tells a different story, doesn't it? That's 3 weeks of price decline. This definitely looks like more price decline on both these indicators. We saw we saw a divergence warning last week here. Of course, it doesn't go away once a week finishes, so that's pretty significant, guys. And I would expect more price decline on the weekly time frame. So I would not be surprised to see prices come down into the low 130s, okay, for the live cattle over a period of a few weeks. I would not be surprised to see low 130s, guys, in live cattle over the next few weeks. Let's look at the hourly here. Yeah, kind of a mixed bag of tricks here. I don't have the hourly cycles on here. Maybe I can eyeball this and just see if I can pick out any cycles. Let me just see. Does anything really stand out here? Since this big gap up back here, it's kind of hard to get a feel for the cycles, but let's just see if there's anything that's really standing out. Kind of maybe, yeah. That might be a cycle right there. Kind of right in that area. More like about right there would kind of get my attention for a possible cycle. So let me change this to yellow, which I've been using as my hourly cycles. I think that's probably about as good as I can get there on the hourly cycle. This looks pretty good right here. Good alignment. That, believe it or not, this kind of stalling in price could definitely be construed as a cycle low. Again here, ideally we'd like to see it on there, but it's okay here as a flat. You can just see prices flattened out. Here, really good, right down into this cycle low within a few hours. That's pretty good. So just based on that, again, 12.19. I'm trying to see. Sorry about the bump. I bumped the mic there. Let's just trying to see how many sessions make up a cycle. Let's see if I can get this. Is it different? Looks like it's a little bit different than the feeder cattle. We got 1, 2, 3. Yeah, almost 4. Not quite. So let's see. That would have been Thursday, Friday, Monday, probably like sometime Tuesday. Maybe not at the very end of the session, like kind of more what the feeder cattle doing. But even with the live cattle, looks like sometimes Tuesday would be a cycle low. Okay. Kind of late in the day, maybe the last half of Tuesday's session, those last 3 hours, I could see a price low on a short time frame. So just keep that in mind. We are below the 50-hour. Okay, and it's been that way for quite a while, guys. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 trading days of below the 50. So that's definitely a sign of weakness, guys. That means it's been below the 50 for quite a while. This gap up, guys, way back here, it was at 135. And to me, guys, I talked about this two, 3 weeks ago, whatever it was. I said, usually these gaps get filled. Well, look at this thing. It has been steadily making its way back down. We're at 136. This gap before it before it gapped up was 135.5. I think it's going to fill the gap. It's taking a while to do, but I think it's going to come back down. We're probably going to get down to there, maybe somewhere down in this area right in here, the 135 and a half-ish kind of area. And I think it's going to be lower than that, most likely based on the other time frames we looked at, yeah. Okay, guys, that's it for the feeder cattle. Consider getting the premium membership, $5.99. I cover crude, I cover gold, I cover natural gas, I cover wheat and oats. I put out trade alerts when I think it's appropriate. I'm also covering or reviewing and providing for the premium members fixed income. I just added that. I'm not going to do many videos on that. I might do videos occasionally, but mostly it's going to be on the Discord server. So you'll get a link when you become a premium member. You join the Discord server, and there's a channel on there. And you can see what I post to the fixed income channel. It'll be mostly corporate bonds and maybe occasionally some dividend stocks, okay? So for those that are more interested in kind of a little bit slower approach, more of an investor's approach, and not so much want to be a trader, okay, I'm going to be covering some corporate bonds. And like I think I mentioned this in some of the other videos on yesterday when I put out some videos yesterday. I think there's a decent chance that any new corporate bond offerings that come out in 2022, they may be attractive rates, guys, because the Federal Reserve is looking to increase their what's called the Fed lending rate. So if they jack up the lending rate, any new offerings generally would mean the corporate bonds would be providing a higher return. And it also means that secondary bonds or bonds on the secondary market, which there are plenty available, they'll become more. They'll actually be. I'm sorry, not more. They'll be at a discount. Usually that drives those prices down. Okay. So there could be some really good opportunities there. We'll see how these things play out as we go into 2022. It depends on how aggressive they are at raising the rates, and so we're just going to see how that all goes. So I think fixed income, there might be some opportunities there. So take advantage of that and that premium membership, okay? Subscribe to our YouTube channel. Give me a thumbs up. Really appreciate that. And don't forget to click that little bell so you get notified of all the videos as I put them out. Talk to you all real soon next time. Merry Christmas, everybody.